All right, here we go. Ready as we're going to be, right?
All right.
Welcome to part two of what was never intended to be a two-part series.
You thought part one was good.
Yeah, man. State of the region for the Knoxville F3 region. We're picking up where we left off about 3 weeks ago. And what we intended to do 3 weeks ago was to talk about let's look backwards 6 months and just talk about the things we've done, and then let's look forward for about 6 or so months and talk about the things that are upcoming. And I joked at the end of the last one that I thought the whole thing was going to take like 20 minutes, the whole thing. And we just did part one, and it took a little over an hour. So we hit the pause button, and here we are back, unpaused. We've already talked about the last 6 months. That's all part one of the state of the region. Now, this is part two. I'm more excited about part two to talk about what's coming up in the next six to 9 months or so. So on here we got, go ahead, OnStar.
Artur Diaz, 35, OnStar, first FQ for F3 Knoxville.
Wonderful.
And my name is Dan Henson, 29. Steam is my F3 name, and I am the comms queue for F3 Knoxville.
Wonderful.
Happy to be here.
That's right. And David Greer, 41, kickflip, the non-time for F3 Knoxville. So what we want to talk about is some of the things coming up in the next 6 or 9 months. And I'll just say right now that it's not going to be everything. We're not going to cover everything because some things come up that are emergent. We do. So we may do something in November that we're not going to talk about today. Other things are not far enough along in the pipeline for us to speak them into existence. So we're not going to talk about those things that aren't mature enough yet to know whether or not we're going to do them. And I'll also put a caveat on and say maybe not everything we talk about today will actually come to fruition because there's certain things we'd like to see done. And as is the case with most of our things, what we're lacking is leadership or energy or whatever. So we think that what we're going to talk about is most of the things coming up in the next 6 to 9 months for F3 Knoxville. And I think what we can do is like we did last time, bend these discussions into fitness, fellowship, faith, and then leadership and other things coming up. So, well, let's go ahead and start with the fitness piece. And OnStar, if you want to take the ball and start talking about some of what you've got in mind for the next 6 or so months on the fitness side of things.
Of course. Well, first things first, we're going to continue doing a monthly challenge. Thank you, by the way, Kickflip, for the suggestion for this monthly challenge because it's something I needed to get doing in my life. I talked about this with Steam on the podcast. I am always saying, I need to work on my mobility. I need to work on my mobility, my flexibility, and I never do. So it's a good push to do this together. So we're going to continue with those. Again, you send me a suggestion, and I'm open to suggestions from any of the packs. If there's anything you would like to see and as a fitness challenge that you've maybe done before or that you think would be good for F3 Knoxville, just talk to me, and I'm open to ideas. Other than that, we survived the first 6 months of metric workouts.
Yeah,
The good news, we survived. The bad news is we now get to do them all again.
Yo, man.
So what I'll be doing is I'm going to network with Blindside to get the spreadsheets from all of them so we can track who improved. And I do want to acknowledge and give T-claps to anyone who's shown improvement, and especially those in each AO that improved the most from one workout to the other. So I'm going to try to get these out to the AOQs so they can also motivate their man.
Yeah.
But the idea is let's get this focus on the you versus you aspect of fitness. Be better than you were 6 months ago. Or if not being better, let's at least try to stay at the same level we were. And maybe if things got worse, maybe this can be a wake-up call. Like, okay, I need to post more. I need to focus a little more. Other than that, go ahead.
So the guy I did the first metric workout with in January, CRISPR, he's one of our AOQs. He said at that first workout, in 6 months, you're going to have 6 months of progress or 6 months of excuses. And I was like, oh man, That's great. I'll probably think about that around the May timeframe, right before we start this next round of metric workouts. And so it's gonna be great. But I think that's a good quote. It's gonna be good to think about that as we go into a rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
The first part of the year.
that's a very good point. We also have the backs coming up soon. And one idea that you also floated, Kickflip, and I'm trying to get into fruition is having a training plan, either for pre-workouts or something to get everyone ready for the Iron Packs.
Yeah.
I've reached out to a few men who have more experience because I haven't done an Iron Packs yet. I have a feeling this is going to be painful.
Yeah.
You're going to love it.
Also,
you're going to love it.
Yeah, but also a lot of fun. And I love the idea that you suggested of doing a endurance tour, having 5 days of Iron Packs in a row after Iron Packs. Week, 1 day in HAO. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this happen, but let's try it. Steam, you're on AOQ. What do you think? You think we should host one at Asylum PM on 1 day of Iron Packs endurance?
Oh, we should absolutely do this. Absolutely. What most people don't know about the Asylum PM is that we meet at 5:45 to 6:30 in the evenings, and so we're getting those 90-degree days in the summer. It's great. We hide a couple coolers of Gatorade and water around the park, so we find them strategically throughout the workout. So we should absolutely do this.
Perfect.
It's going to be great.
The idea is to make the most out of the Iron Packs, both before, during, and potentially after. So to another level.
So let's talk about Iron Packs for a second. For those people who are maybe listening or watching, who are newer to F3, haven't been in F3 since September of last year, Iron Packs is always done in September. You said you haven't even done one. You first started in with F3, what, in October?
And no, I actually started in August last year, late August, but I was just going on Saturdays. So I just a big ball, and they were doing Iron Packs Mondays.
I got you.
I never did it. I just saw lots of pictures of people doing stargazers after the workout. That's a good indication, I guess.
So if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, Iron Packs. The Iron Packs Challenge, IPC, is done every September. And what it is, most of our workouts are up to the queue to design and to lead. The exceptions are our monthly metric workouts, but also in September, every week. So there's actually a week 0, and then there's a week 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 5 weeks in a row in September where this F3 group out of Greenwood, South Carolina, they prescribe the workout, and we do it. So it's very similar to the metric workout. You will get a workout prescribed to you. You do that. You record your scores, and the scores are typically either number of reps in a certain time or how much time did it take you to do this full routine. So it's very similar to what we do as our metric workouts. But what you can see is they will publish the full results of the whole F3 Nation. And so there might be 4,000 or 5,000 men submit scores, and you can see where you rank up against those other men. In years past, Trunk from F3 Knoxville has also filtered through all of that data and extracted only the F3 Knoxville group. So there might be 40, 50 guys in Knoxville that are doing it. And he's done something that I thought was pretty cool. Man of Iron. Is that what he called it? Steam? Knoxville Man of Iron?
I think something close to that, yeah. The Knoxville Man of Iron.
Right. And so he does
pretty
this
cool
challenge. It is. I hope he does it again this year, or somebody takes that. If I remember right, the challenge is you have to be in the top 25 in Knoxville on week 0. And then he'll rank you based on your time or based on your number of reps, you get a ranking. And then week 1, you have to be in the top 25 again. And then you stay in the running. If you are the 26th man on week 1, you're out of the running for the whole thing. And then so it just keeps going and going and going. And so if you don't submit a score week 4, you could be the number 1 guy in the ranking. You don't submit a score, you're out. because you weren't in the top 25 that week. So anyway, it's cool, and it really charges me up because it's competitive, and I love doing it. And so anyway, I'm looking forward to that. So that's what that is.
All
That's
right.
what,
And
you touched on it, but this idea that it's kind of percolating right now sounds insane. If you've done any Iron Pax Challenge workouts, you know that they are strenuous. They're some of the most challenging workouts that we'll do in F3. So what you talked about, this endurance tour. So say again what the idea is with that.
so the idea would be to do the 5 weeks of Iron Packs in 1 week, Monday through Friday in different AOs. Is it doable? I don't know. You suggested it. It's I'm crazy enough to think it sounds interesting. So
You've got to logistically plan that out, though,
Yeah,
for like the whole week. I mean, that's going to be a feat
Sure.
in itself.
yeah,
man, we ought to get a patch or something. If you
Oh,
actually
yeah.
do that,
A trophy, a T-shirt, something
yeah, a
to
t-shirt,
pass around. That'd be cool.
right?
I survived an Iron Pack CSOP, and all I got was this stupid T-shirt.
Oh, that's the shirt right there.
Yeah, man. Oh, good. That's really good, dude. All right. Something else I had down on my list of fitness pieces to talk about is the Ruck BFFs. And the BFFs, the baseline functional fitness tests. We did one in May at Shamrock, and it's a series of 4 events that you do with the ruck-ins and or sandbag. And what you do is much like our metric workouts. You do these, you score yourself, you write down your score, you follow up and do it again. My understanding is that Quacken, does that sound right? Quacken's doing one in July
July
Yes.
29, if I'm not mistaken.
29.
Yes.
29 this Saturday. Yeah, that's correct. Lizzie is the one leading it.
Great,
And July 29, I plan on participating.
great.
Steve, I don't know about you, but I haven't done one in a while, so I plan on being there.
I missed the first one. Yeah, at Shamrock. So I plan on being there too. It's a good test to kind of see where
Yeah.
you're at with your rucking fitness. So yeah, plan to be there.
That's good. That'd be a good one. All right. What else? Anything else on the fitness front that you guys want to talk about coming up in the next 6 months? Or
I-
on start?
I don't have anything planned yet, but one thing I know Blindside mentioned once he wanted to do competitive cues, and I'm also playing around some ideas about competitions or something to that effect. But it's just an idea coming up, just something that's it's not too developed yet. But I'd be interested in having a bit more competition. It's good to do you versus you, but it's also great to have a little friendly competition. Friendly rivalry is always great to push yourself further. I know that when I'm working out, if I see Steam running, I want to keep up with him or other guys too, and having that friendly competitiveness is pretty good. So I want to find a way to bring a little bit more competitiveness to F3.
I love it, man.
One thing we say is at the Silent PM, some of the cues we'll say this. We'll say, hey, push yourself, push the guys around you too, and there is that shared kind of camaraderie that happens when you challenge each other in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's about it on the fitness front.
I love it. All right, we'll shift over into fellowship, and I'll say that our second FQ isn't with us this evening. He's on, I think, vacation.
Yes.
He's on PTO. He took some PTO days
Good for him, man.
from his second F.
Yeah, from the second.
He had to run it
Yeah.
through HR, but it was fun.
Yeah. So good for him. And but Mermaid is a relatively new still second F. And I tell you what, man, if you guys don't know Mermaid, well, I know you two both know Mermaid, but if you're listening and you don't know Mermaid, you got to get to know this dude. He's going to be great in the role. A few weeks ago in the Q source, we talked about this concept, this F3 concept of the D2X. The D2X is the confluence of your dolphin, which is your unique skill set and what you're gifted in doing, and your daffodil, which is that the group that you are passionate about serving. And the D2X, I think, for Mermaid is the second FQ position. I think the dude is just naturally gifted at being a people, bringing men together, making them feel comfortable, making them feel connection with each other. And I think he's passionate about F3. I know he is. So I'm excited for that dude to be in that role. I'm really excited to see what he has in mind. Now we don't of course know what things are kind of churning in his mind. He shared a couple of ideas. He started to kick some things around. I don't know that we can talk about all those yet, but we can talk about some, starting with the one that's coming up so soon that even by the time this is published on the podcast, it may have already been done.
Yeah.
Convergence. Steve, do you want
Yes.
to talk about what is convergence?
Oh man, I would love to. Yes. So on Saturday, so this Saturday, July 8th, there was going to be a convergence at the Shamrock AO, which is at Catholic High School here in Knoxville. And basically, a convergence is when a whole region converges on one location. They do a shared workout together. Typically, it's an hour. And then there is some sort of cafeteria, some sort of second F event, usually with a speaker or some sort of theme or presentation at the very end. It's a great way to typically get a lot of guys you probably see on Slack or on social media, but maybe you don't work out with every week because you're working out at another AO across town. But it's a great way to get the whole region together and just have this really fun, shared character building event. So we're going to do that this Saturday, the 8th, and it's going to be great. They have a great plan. The Shamrock guys that they've been building and working on for a while now, and it's just one of those events where you see a pretty large amount of F3 guys in one location, and you hear the count off, you hear everything, and it's loud, it's fun. There's a lot of energy. So we would encourage you to be there. It's going to be at 7 a.m. Is when it's going to kick off. We're going to be on the football field, which will be very cool. And if you are really feeling super dangerous Saturday, come to the pre-ruck, come to the pre-run at around 6, get some extra miles in, and just make it a great morning for yourself. There will be breakfast, there will be coffee afterwards, and we're going to hear from a speaker, a local pastor and speaker here in Knoxville named Rick Dunn. That's going to bring a powerful word to us after we work out.
And if you've never been to a convergence yet, consider coming, because just having a Neymarama with 70 guys with that count off, the energy is just amazing. It's something else.
It is.
That's right.
It is. Well, thank you, man. It'll be a good time. You said breakfast will be served afterwards. You know what breakfast is going to be? Have you heard this?
What is breakfast? I've not. This is news. What's
And
breakfast
they got a caterer come in with a cinnamon roll bar.
Oh man!
Like
All
a
right.
do-it-yourself toppings on the cinnamon roll. Bang.
Oh, I had just heard the cinnamon roll part. I didn't. I
Man.
didn't know it was with the toppings and everything. Nice.
Yeah. Now
All right.
OnStar's going to
Hey.
tell you you can't out king your queen.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe. No.
you can
You
try.
can't do you can't do a 45-minute
That's right.
workout and need a 1,200 calorie cinnamon roll.
That's true. Hey, if you weren't coming to the convergence before, you are now. So, even
Right.
if you just show up for the cinnamon rolls, come hang out
That's
with
right.
us. We'd love to see you. But please come to the workout too.
If you come to the workout only, you get half a cinnamon roll. If you come to the pre-run,
That's right.
you get a whole cinnamon roll.
That's right.
There you go. There you go.
It is a fun time. It is.
Dude.
I think my favorite part is the count off. Whenever the queue calls off that first Rama exercise, and you just hear 70 plus guys say, "What?"
Yeah.
You could hear it for neighborhoods away, probably.
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be awesome, man. Quick shout out to the guys who are doing the planning. There's about a dozen of them. There's a channel, and they're doing all the logistics stuff. Of course, led by Betty. But there's so many, at least 10 other guys who are involved and active. So, man, I just really appreciate them. Convergence, you mentioned. we talk about it in the second F because more than fitness or faith, more than anything, convergences are like a second F event. It's just a time to get together. It won't be the hardest workout you've ever done, but it'll be a good time.
Mhm.
But it's also so it's a time to get together, but it's also a time, an opportunity for an AO to shine, to kind of strut their stuff and to show you what they've got, right? So that could be features of their area that they want to show off. It could be men who are regulars in their group that maybe if you've only gone to Asylum or you typically don't ever leave Equalizer, you're going to get to know these guys and see them in action, right? See them just leave the warm up or whatever. Da da da. So it's a time for the AOs to shine. Uh,
Yep.
I love doing convergences. I'd love to get maybe one more planned this year, and we've got some ideas, either convergence or CSOP, and they're kind of in the same flavor. We do have 6 months from now the next one planned, and that's going to be January 20th, the first one of 2024. Big ball,
Yep.
big ball. It's going
Put
to
it
be
on your calendars already.
yeah, dude. And shout out to Wedding Singer, Drive Through, and other guys. They are already planning. In fact, they've been planning for 2 or 3 months now. Convergence 24,
Wow.
20, January 24. They've got a speaker lined up. They've got, what they're going to do. They're on the ball. So T claps to those guys for being there. That's going to be a really good one. One of my first things I ever did with F3 Knoxville was a convergence at big ball. And it was awesome because, you talk about being in cadence with each other with 75 men maybe. And I remember doing side straddle hop in the middle of World's Fair Park, and you would yell the cadence, and it would echo off these brick buildings. And then we went through UT campus, and we did other things downtown. It was a blast. So looking forward to that.
Hey, you should bring F and Gs to this too. If you're an F3 guy out there and you know someone, it's like you should be at F3. Bring them to the convergence. It's a great way to see F3. It's a great entry
Yeah.
ramp to F3.
Yeah.
It's a great time to get a lot of visibility. So even if you're someone that's not in F3 right now, man, it is free for you. We would love to have you there.
Yeah.
No man left the same. No man left behind. No man left behind. No man left the same. So,
of course, if you come to convergence as an F as a F and G, you're gonna get named in front of 75 men.
There's
no pressure. Yeah.
there's not.
Tell us your most embarrassing story.
In front of all these guys, you just work out.
You're right, dude. We'd love to see
great.
F and Gs. So, all right. So one of the next big things coming up is also in July. F3 in the nude. Who wants to talk about that?
I don't know too much about it. So,
We're all just chomping at the bit.
Yeah. Somebody's
Also, go ahead.
listening to this right now, listening in their car, going, "What did I just hear him say? What did he just say?"
yeah, you heard it right. It's F3 in the nude. Just in case you were second guessing yourself, yes, that's what it is.
We're a cool group. We really are. Please come join us.
Yeah. Never mind. Cancel. Cancel my membership.
Well,
So-
there's not a lot of info about it, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. Actually, how this team is planning this.
Yeah.
They're going to start to release more information as we get closer to it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be character building.
Yep.
It's going to involve a workout
Yep.
of some kind, and you're going to get more information week by week in the weekly email, I believe.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That goes out every Sunday.
That's right, dude. I will say this, you are not going to want to miss it. It's going to be one of a kind workout like we've never done in F3 Knoxville. And it's going to be a ton of fun. And there's going to be a fantastic breakfast afterwards. It's going to be a morning thing. It's going to be a fantastic breakfast afterwards. And I'll say this too, the guys who are planning it, it's Mermaid and it's Slappy. And those two guys are just so creative. So creative. And they are hilarious. And so you know when the two of them pal up on something, you know it's going to be fun and funny and really cool, really cool. So you're not going to want to miss it. Put it on the calendar, uh, and you'll. I love. So it's been going out in the newsletter, and pretty regularly I'm getting DMs on Slack and people coming up to me going, "What is this?" Just
Great.
like these tantalizing few details coming out. What's going on with this? Uh, it's going to be a good time. You're going to love it. All right. Steam, what do you know about Dad's Camp coming up?
Yeah, so Dad's Camp. This is a really unique event that F3 Knoxville puts on, and it's going to be August 11th through 13th. And there's two guys. So I'll share some info about it. But there's two guys that are running this event, and that is Gibbler and Full House. They've done this for a couple of years now, actually, but essentially what Dad's Camp is, it's an opportunity for F3 dads, if you are a dad in F3, to bring your 2.0s, your kids out for a weekend of adventure, a weekend of bonding together with other F3 dads and their kids, just an opportunity to have some community with other F3 guys and their kids in a really fun weekend retreat, almost an adventure camp. And so they call it F3 Dad's Camp. If you get the newsletters, there's going to be more information in the newsletters. There already is that is going out about this. But if you are a dad and you need a weekend to maybe get your kids out of the house and do something fun with other high impact men and their kids, it's a great opportunity to plug in to community.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, man. What other second F things do you want to talk about before we move on?
Quickly, we have a couple things coming up that we talked about in the first part of our State of the Region. Things like second F lunches, things like Thirsty Third Thursdays. These are second F events that happen around our region every month and almost every week, and in some cases too. Second F lunches are a way for F3 guys to grab lunch together at some point throughout the week. Typically, it's based on where you are in the city. We have a downtown / University of Tennessee crew that grabs lunch together. There are some in West Knoxville, some in Oak Ridge who work at the lab. So it's a really unique opportunity to meet some F3 guys, get lunch with them, break bread with them in the middle of your workday in a central location around Knoxville and beyond. So if you're a new guy in F3, it's a great chance to meet new F3 guys. It's a great chance to network, but also just have some community in the middle of your day. And then the Thirsty Third Thursdays. So this is a really cool thing that started this year too. On the third Thursday, there's opportunities to get together, maybe after workout or after work day, and have a second F event, typically at a restaurant or somewhere where guys can grab a cold one if that's something that you like to do. Just have some good fellowship together. And once again, it's a great opportunity to meet F3 guys if you're new to F3, but also a good opportunity to meet some guys that are probably more central to you in your part of the city. There was one in West Knoxville that happened last month, I believe. There's been some downtown for guys that live down there. There's some that are in the Cedar Bluff area as well. So you'll see more of that in the Mumble Chatter channel, F3 Knoxville main channel, in the newsletter that goes out on Sundays. But really cool second F events just to get to meet and network with other F3 guys.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'll say this before we move on. Mermaid's not here to kind of talk about what are his visions for the future and all that kind of stuff, but I know he's got good things planned. Now, I also know he wants to hear your thoughts. You, the listeners and the watchers. He wants to hear from you ideas about things that you want to do as second F. Now, again, if you're new to F3, what we say all the time is that F3 is more than a workout. If you came, we've also say this about our first F, the fitness piece of it. We call it the magnet. that is more than likely what attracted you to F3. That's the magnet. The second F piece, we call it the glue. And that's really what we want to see is you guys getting involved in more than just the workouts. The things that are fellowship, right? These things that we're talking about and other things as well. Just time to get together with the other men in your AOs. And really, because that's where you're going to build community. And we want you to feel like you're part of a tribe, right? And to know that you're part of a community of men. That's where the second F comes in. So he wants to hear about ideas. And some of these that I've heard recently, camping trips, in the fall, hiking things going on. Somebody even shared an idea about a bourbon tasting, all these kinds of things are trickling up as potential ideas. Now, Mermaid wants to hear all of these. He can't probably say yes to all of them as formal sanctioned F3 events, but we'd love to see even just the AOs. We'd love to see the AOs doing more things together outside of the workouts. And it could be as simple as, hey, everybody grab some kind of picnic and meet at such and such park with their families, this evening at 6 o'clock. It's that easy, and you're just doing something to build community. I think that's about it. Monster, you got anything else? Second half?
I just to add to that, like you said, it doesn't need to be a big thing. It can be in your AO. If you feel you have a cool activity that the guys in your AO could do, post it in the channel, invite the guys. It doesn't need to be a whole F3 Knoxville event.
Yes. That's right. It can be your AO. The other thing is it doesn't have to be so planned and programmed, right? We do these things that are very complicated and complex, It takes months of planning and a dozen guys to plan these really complicated. It doesn't have to be that way. And in fact, I would love to see 90% of what we do is more ad hoc impromptu things. For example, just jump onto the second F channel and, what do y'all, I saw this yesterday. I love this. Somebody jumped on yesterday and said, where are we going to watch fireworks tonight? And a couple guys responded, or maybe it was a couple days ago. But it's just like, that was easy. That was easy. And let's get together. I'll just tell you where I'm going to be with my family. And if you can meet us there, great. I would love to see more of that because that is so simple to do. It takes 5 seconds to put it on Slack, and it's just weaving that community tighter and tighter. So I'd love to see some more of that. So moving on, the fitness is the magnet, the fellowship is the glue, the faith, the third F, is what we call the dynamite, and the faith is where we are really going to become unlocked as you continue on with F3. Now, our third FQ, Ocho, is also not with us today.
Also,
did you guys know this? That he's now Dr. Ocho. Did you know that?
Yeah.
did not
We might have talked about that on the last podcast. He had just gotten his
doctor.
He's actually got a doctorate of ministry, which is funny because if you are a vocational doctor of ministry, you're a demon. So he's a demon.
Wow.
Does
that count for an F3 rename? You can't rename him, right?
I think it should.
Dr. Ocho? The demon?
I think it should. Super, super good guy. If you're listening and you don't know Ocho, I encourage you to reach out and get to know him. Just what a guy. What a guy. Now, a couple of the things that I believe he intends to continue, things that have already been started, but we plan to continue on through the next several months. The prayer channel. So he started a prayer channel on Slack. I think it's called F3 Knox prayer. Anyway, if you're a man who prays, join that channel and be praying for the men. If you need prayer, jump into that channel and request it. Now, I think he also intends to continue on with this challenge to memorize 100 verses of scripture. It's called 100 swords. But in the weekly newsletter, we put out one or sometimes a handful of verses every week. So if you continue on with this challenge, we are almost halfway through it. Then at the end of this challenge, if you continue on with it, you will have, that would be awesome, 100 verses committed to memory. And then something he did recently, but I think we'll continue on. I call it Jester Resources. I don't know what else to call it, but it came out of a discussion we had centered around vices. And I think specifically the one that prompted the discussion was pornography and what resources are available to combat this vice. And so he started to collect all of these things into one place, right? Resources. And I think we could do other things for other gestures, right? So we have, as we're battling these addictions and vices, let's come together as a community of men and struggle together up out of these holes. So that's a good thing. Faith-wise, one of the biggest things coming up is Forge. The biggest thing coming up. So, Steve, why don't you talk about Forge?
Yeah, so Forge is actually a regional retreat that we are going to be hosting this September. So really how this came about is through conversations under rucks, post-workout conversations of guys over the years, probably 2 or 3 years, that were like, man, it'd be great to get some F3 guys together, maybe go on a hike, maybe take a weekend retreat, and just get to do a big fellowship weekend. And so that's actually happening. Actually, the guys on this call have been a big part of making this reality this year, specifically with OnStar and Kickflip. They've put a lot of time into thinking about how this can serve F3 Knoxville men, but not just F3 Knoxville men, just F3 men in general. We have a lot of regions around us. And so the heart of Forge, what our planning team has come up with, we have two definitions when it comes to Forge. One is when you think about forging or forge, it's heating something in a very hot fire and it's getting molded into a new condition or shaped into a new condition. That second part of that definition of forge is to move forward gradually or steadily, which is a pretty good picture of what we do in F3 workouts. You're moving forward gradually and steadily, but it's also a pretty good picture, we think, of what life looks like. You move through life gradually and steadily, one step at a time. And there are really easy seasons, really hard seasons, but we're forging our way through life the best way we know how. And it's best done in the context of intentional community, which is what we do in F3. And so what Forge is, FORG3, because F3, that was very intentional. Forge is a invigorating 40-hour weekend retreat with the heart behind it being to challenge and encourage F3 men in their pursuit of high-impact manhood. And so we are going up to Doe River Gorge in Hampton, Tennessee, close to Elizabethton, close to Johnson City, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 from Knoxville, September 22nd through 24th. And we're going to spend 40 hours in a beautiful cabin at Doe River Gorge, right by a river. And we're going to go over this idea of forging our way through life as men, what that looks like, and how we can hopefully not do better, not do more, but maybe just get a little bit better or focus a little bit more on how we can be the men we're called to be. As husbands, as fathers, as high impact men. You've heard that phrase if you've been around F3 for a while. We seek to be high impact men in our daily lives. And so we're taking a group of men, about 20 or 30 up there this September. You're going to hear from speakers in F3 Knoxville that are going to talk on various subjects that's going to relate both to all 3 F's. So first F, fitness, fellowship, and faith. There's going to be different sessions that we're going to dive into together. It's going to be very relationally, conversationally driven, and just be a great time for F3 men to connect. There are going to be F3 men from other regions as well, which will be a neat thing for us in Knoxville. There will be a couple guys from F3 Morristown. couple guys from F3 Northeast Tennessee, from F3 Chattanooga. So it'll be a great time. We encourage you to check out our Slack channel, Forge hashtag FORG3. If you're in F3 Knoxville, you can also, if you have any questions, obviously reach out to Kickflip, myself, to OnStar. Shoot an email to forgeretreat@gmail.com, and our team would love to get plugged in with you. But we definitely want to just intentionally invite you into this adventure with us this fall as we kick off our first regional third F retreat.
Awesome.
I think that's it. I'm sorry, anything I'm missing? I know Kickflip, I know y'all have been a big part of this.
You got everything covered, man. There's nothing I could add. Just that this is going to be awesome.
Awesome, man.
That's good. You know, I did think of one other thing on behalf of Boat Show before we move on, is that OnStar, like you doing the monthly fitness challenge, he does a monthly faith challenge.
That's right.
He's continuing to do those. I think he's actually got it mapped out through the end of the calendar year.
He does.
So,
He's showing it to me. He has everything planned out to the end of the year.
so he's got a plan. But I love it, man. I love these challenges that he does, the one that we are currently doing. And again, if you are new to F3 and you don't know what we're talking about, there's a monthly, you already talked about the fitness challenge that changes month by month. We're doing flexibility, mobility right now. There's a faith challenge. This one is actually not daily, it's weekly. But the faith challenge this month is once a week, have a deliberate spiritual conversation with another man, at least once a week. And the way that we do this is there's a first F channel on Slack, a third F channel on Slack. And what they ask is, hey, I'll post every day or once a week, depending on what the challenge is. Come on here and give me this emoji of fist bump or whatever it is, just to acknowledge that you did it and to show other men that you did it. But more than that, I think it's also to encourage other men, right? If they see that, man, 6, 8, 10 of my brothers are doing these things, if they can do it, I can do it, or I don't want to be the guy not to do it, right? So it's an encouragement to other men to see that on there. I encourage you to jump on and do it. Okay, so I think we'll move on from, we've talked about fitness and fellowship and faith. There's a few other things I want to talk about that don't fit nicely into one of those areas. So let's move on to kind of the other stuff, leadership stuff, other stuff. And it's not on our list, but I think one good one to start off with is kind of what we're doing right here and what you two guys in Blindside have reinvigorated the podcast. Why don't you guys talk about the podcast and your thoughts about the podcast?
Oh man, we share our thoughts every Monday and Thursday is when our episodes drop, and it's really fun. It really is. It's myself, OnStar, and our Weasel Shaker Blindside, and there's going to be some other guest appearances throughout the podcast. But we get together once a week and we run down the newsletter and all the updates for the next week, kind of kick off and launch the upcoming week together, and just have a very conversational OnStar, maybe 30, 45 minutes of just going through some of those items, breaking them down, talking about what we're excited about. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, that's about it. Our idea is to basically, we want to create an enduring legacy for what we're going through, the steps we're taking, where we're moving. So it's very conversational. We use the newsletter as a launching point to discuss and talk about what we're doing. And the idea for the Thursday episode is to cover any special events we've got coming up, such as the Convergences, Forge, or anything else that might be coming. We're going to be covering Rucking. And hey, if any one of you listening have something you want to share, some idea you want to bring up, again, we're open to ideas. Talk to us. We're looking for guests, looking for people who want to be a part of it. We want to do the history of the AOs, the history of F3 Knoxville as a whole. So
origin stories, baby.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to have the origin story of F3 Knoxville. So that's something that's going to be coming up.
Great. It's called Beyond the Cot, the COT. Every workout ends in a cot, COT, Circle of Trust. And so we go beyond the cot and get to talk about some of the awesome things our guys are doing out there in Knoxville and beyond, and share some of those stories, and hopefully get to challenge and encourage you a little bit going into that next week. So
Yep.
it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. That would be a great gift to us. Like and subscribe. We are looking for a sponsor up to $1 million. So feel free to sponsor the F3 Knoxville podcast. Let us know.
All right. Thank you, guys. What else do we got? OnStar, you want to talk about a couple Pax Miner?
Yeah, we're going to be implementing the Pax Miner, which is a piece of software that plugs into Slack, which basically automates the way we can do the black blasts. We're going to be able to do them straight on Slack. It's going to guide you through it. It's going to be like filling a form. What's the AO, who's on queue, what was done. So it's a step-by-step process. And the beautiful thing is that it collects all the data. So we're going to be able to see who's posting, where, how often, who's not posting, and maybe which AOs need some help, who we need to reach out to, which man we need to call back to us and see, hey, what's up? Are you doing good? You haven't been posting. It's going to give us an opportunity to be very intentional in reaching out to the man and supporting our AOs. And it's going to give us more view, more data, and it's going to streamline the process for backblasts.
That's it.
And as we implement this, we're going to have a video tutorial on how to do it and everything. So kind of like we had the queue signups, it's another step to try to automate the process to make things a little bit easier into Slack.
Yep.
Good.
Hey, if you don't know what a backblast is, because when I first joined F3, I was like, I don't know what these guys are doing. So a backblast is essentially what went down at the workout. You tag all of the guys that were there, and it's a page that essentially goes through who was there, what the workout was, what the word was from the workout. So it's a really, really cool way to look back and see what went down.
And backblasts can be a great way to find inspiration for a queue. So if you're not sure what to do, if you're especially on your VQ, or which is the first time you queue, or maybe you're not feeling too inspired, you're not sure what to do, going through the backblasts can be a good idea to be like, okay, what have the guys done at this AO? What they have not done yet? What could I bring here? What could I bring back, or something like that?
That's good, man. I'm looking forward to Pax Miner. What about the Ghost Flag? You want to talk about that?
Sure. The Ghost Flag is an initiative by Blindside. We're going to learn everything about on the Convergence on Saturday now, on July 8th. But basically, it's going to be a traveling flag, a traveling shovel flag that AOs will have the ability to capture. And AOs will score points by keeping it as long as they can.
Like capture the flag for the entire city of Knoxville and beyond.
Exactly.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So what you do to capture it, you got to show up, I believe, with 3 men to a workout. 3 men from the same AO have to show up at the workout at the AO that holds the flag currently. Blindside's going to give all the details. We're going to find out which AO is going to start with the flag, but this is going to be fun. It's a way to have more cross-posting and encourage guys to go to different AOs and have a little friendly competition between the different AOs in Knoxville.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yep.
All right. What's next? Social media? Steve,
Social media. Man, I am excited to brag on these guys. So we have a team of guys that run our social media pages. If you did not know, we have a Facebook page, Instagram page, Twitter page, and these guys just absolutely crush it with sharing the F3 Knoxville story through social media channels. And so if you're on Twitter, Matlock is our Twitter Q. He runs all things Twitter. We have Feeney on our Facebook page, running the F3 Knoxville Facebook page. He does an awesome job at getting a lot of engagement, putting out pictures and stories on Facebook. And then we have Exposure, who is running our Instagram page if you're on Instagram. So you can find all these guys on on Slack. They work hard every week to share pictures, share stories, videos on our social pages for you guys, the guys of F3 Knoxville, to see what's going on around the region, but also for guys that may be interested in F3 that will look us up on Google, look us up on social media and say, hey, what is this F3 thing? And so they put out a lot of great content. Over the past 6 months, I think we talked about this on the last one. We've gotten a lot of exposure, a lot of visibility to our social media pages as guys have started to come to F3. That's going to continue over the next 6 months. We will cover a lot of the awesome events we've already talked about, such as the Convergence here next week, some of our bigger events and get-togethers over the next 6 months, 9 months as well. So if you have not checked out our social media pages, go check them out. Give us a like, give us a follow. We'd love to engage with you in that way too. But yeah, really proud of those guys. So shout out to them.
Awesome. All right, let me go off script a little bit and just mention, thinking through the last couple of things I want to share, and that's leadership positions. I think is one thing we want to lean into in the next 6 months or so. And again, if you listen to part one, we talked about and early on in the calendar year, in fact, late last calendar year, looking forward into 23, what is going to be the theme of the year? We decided to get refocused on, we said, radically refocused on our mission statement to plant, to grow, and serve small workout groups of men for the invigoration of male community leadership. My last few thoughts have to do with both of those. Invigorating leadership is one of those. We shared some thoughts a few weeks ago about all the different ways that you can lead in F3. And really the idea is not to serve F3, it's to serve you as a leader. Because the very best way to become a better leader is to practice leading. F3, more than any organization I've ever known in my life, gives opportunities for you to lead. And to lead in really ways that are, I don't say possible to fail, but there's an expectation that every man out here try it, right? And so, there's a lot of freedom in that, knowing that, well, I'm going to try it out, but then I know the other guys are going to do it too. But anyway, my point is there's a lot of leadership opportunities in F3. In fact, across the board, every position, the first FQ, comms Q, the non-time, these are all meant to be temporarily filled by one man, and then that man moves on to do something else and leaves the open, brings somebody up underneath him to fill that role and gives that man an opportunity to, stretch his wings in the position. So we want to develop kind of a pipeline, at least a succession plan in some of these roles. And one of those things that you can do, if you just joined F3, there is no minimum membership duration needed to fill a role. The OnStar, I think you were in only for 4 or 5 months before you started talking to me. No. It wasn't even that, dude. You started talking to me in November about getting more involved in a leadership position.
Yep.
You were with F3 for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
And,
I remember I talked to you after the Olympics, and I just asked you.
That's right.
To help F3 Knoxville.
That's right. That's exactly right. Anyway, one of those ways that you can do, any man can do, even the guys who are just brand new to F3, is most of these Knoxville region positions, first FQ, second FQ, third FQ, comms Q, a lot of these, what we want to do is produce them at the AO level. And so if you're AO, Big Ball, Asylum, Project, Rampart, whatever, we might need a man there to lead just as their first F leader, second F leader, third F. And so there's a ton of opportunities. We have 15 AOs. If every one of those AOs has 5 leadership positions from the AOQ and he's got a couple of guys to lead on, that's 60 positions that are leadership positions with F3 Knoxville. Anyway, there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity to be a leader and to practice leading. I'm going to pause it right there. Go back to Steam. Tell us about one of the things that I'm super excited about coming up. It's Pro Ruck.
Yes, go Rock. So we have been given the opportunity and privilege to host a GTE, a Grow Ruck training event in 2024, so next year. But essentially what that is it is a F3 guys only event that lasts from Friday to Sunday. And the rundown of the event is basically a Friday second F event somewhere here in Knoxville. Saturday, there's a large convergence workout in the morning, followed by something called a grow school. It's a leadership type of school right after the workout. And all of that is leading into a overnight ruck event, typically from 9 p to 9 a the next morning. So getting done Sunday morning sometime. And this whole event is built around growing F3 men and their fitness, their fellowship, and their faith. And it's a really unique event that we get to host for F3 guys around F3 Nation that will travel to come do this, and have a lot of guys in F3 Knox to do this as well. If you have never heard of rucking, maybe you're like, hey, I don't know what this rucking thing is. I see all these guys walking around with backpacks. They're called rucks, number one. So get it right. No, we have a pretty awesome and strong rucking culture here in F3 Knoxville, and so we have been given the opportunity to host this event at GTE in 2024. It is a ruck event, and so there is going to be training that needs to happen to prepare you for this event. And some of our guys that are very involved in our rucking community here in F3 Knoxville have stepped up and partnered with an organization called Pathfinder, which puts together these training events for guys that are getting ready for something like a GTE or something like a Go Ruck event. And so we are kind of in the middle of one right now. We're going to continue that throughout the rest of this year, and probably even into next year as well. The GTE event is actually in April of 2024, so we still have some time to train for this. But if you are interested in rucking or in this event, there is a great channel, #Ruck in F3 Knoxville. You can find all about rucking there and how to get plugged in, how to get started. There's also I believe it's Knoxville GTE 2024 channel and Slack with all of the information about this event coming next year. You'll see guys training for this, going through the Pathfinder training. It's a great community to ask questions, to learn from guys maybe who have been rucking for years, maybe for guys that want to get into rucking and don't know where to start. So we're excited about this event. It's going to be one that is an honor for us to host in Knoxville and welcome other F3 men from around the nation. But would very, very strongly implore you to check out rucking. Essentially, you're walking with a backpack with weight in it at its most basic form. And you go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'd add that rucking is not just a first half opportunity. Most of the times it's a great second half opportunity, because you're going to spend 1-2 hours, maybe more, depending on how long the ruck is, walking with a group of other men. So you're going to talk. We do our shield locks at Asylum PM under a ruck. So it is also a great opportunity to spend time talking, going deeper into conversation. So it's a great first and second half opportunity.
Some of the best conversations I've had have probably been under a ruck, under a heavy backpack, right? And you don't need to go out and buy hundreds and hundreds of dollars of gear. I guarantee you there are guys in F3 Knoxville that would gladly make sure you have the gear you need to get into rucking and at least come out and walk with us. Check it out with a group at your AO. There's a lot of pre-rucks that happen before the workout. So your AOQs, that ruck channel in F3 Knoxville is a great place to start just to get more information on how to get plugged in.
That's awesome, man. That's a great idea. If this is something that's striking your fancy, what is this all about? I would encourage you to do what you just said. Jump into the Ruck channel. There's a Ruck channel on Slack, and just post a question. Anybody have something I can borrow, right? Does anybody have a ruck I can borrow for a few weeks? And I'll come out and I'll try it before I make the investment to decide whether or not I really like it. And I think that would be a great first step for anybody who's kind of just curious as they're listening. So thank you, brother. One other thing is we've got kind of a help wanted ad out there right now in the newsletter for looking for the right guy to lead the region in all things rucking. And it's to be just kind of a coordinator of all these different things going on and a promoter of rucking. Because looking forward to the GTE, we need to increase our overall average fitness level to be prepared to do that 12-hour ruck. That's going to take a lot of preparation to get there. But we can get there, and I think we will be way better off on the other side of that. Now, I don't think the GTE is the end of rucking for Knoxville. I think it's one of the beginning pieces, and it'll go well beyond that. So we're looking for the man to lead that. And if you're listening to this and you like the idea of rucking, are interested in being a leader in a leadership position, if you say, "Well, I'm not the fittest man in Knoxville rucking," not a prerequisite. If you say, "Well, I've only been in Knoxville for whatever months, or I've only done rucking for a couple of months," not a prerequisite. The only thing I ask that you have is a passion to lead men. And if you have that, and if you're interested in rucking, reach out, and we would love to have somebody in that position because there's so much going on in the rucking arena right now, and there is no conductor of the orchestra. And I think if there were, we would be far more effective in how we're doing rucking. So I'd love to see that position filled.
Okay, cool. Can I say something about that too?
Yeah, dude.
So we say this in the workouts. I'm not a professional. Like, that's part of our disclaimer, right? None of us here, none of any of the guys that are leading in whatever capacity they're leading at F3 Knoxville are professionals by any means. So I know Antar and I talked about this, I think, on the podcast last week, but if you want to get into a leadership position here, or you have a passion, like you said, kickflip, to serve, do not let anything intimidate you from going after that, because by all means, we are not professionals. We are far from it, right? And so even if you have an inkling of, I think I could do this, like, reach out to someone. Like that's how it started for us, and someone helped us along our way as well. And so so we are not professionals, but do not let, like you said, anything intimidate you from wanting to serve or lead within F3. I guarantee you, it's been done before, and there are guys that are willing to help you along the way as well.
All right, there's just one more thing I want to talk about, and I look down at the time and I go, "Man, we've already been talking to more than an hour again."
We got a busy 6 months
ahead of us. Yeah, there's too much cool stuff coming down the pipeline. That's the thing.
Too much coming up. Well, let me just real quickly talk with you guys about one more thing that I would like to that I think we'll lean into in the next 6 to 12 months, and that is, again, looking back on the focus of 2023 for the leadership team was to get radically refocused on the mission statement, which is to plant and to grow and to serve our small workout groups, ultimately to invigorate men to lead. But the how of F3, I've heard some of the F3 Nation leadership team talk about, as we formed the idea of F3, if knitting is what men gathered around and got invigorated by, if that's what we would form knitting clubs. But it's not. It's not. It's fitness, it's competition, it's challenge, it's all of this thing that 45-minute or hour-long workout just brings alive in a man's heart. That's what it is. That's the key to invigorate a man to lead. And so the how of F3 is to plant and grow and serve these small workout groups. So we want to lean more into that. Now, when we first started early in the calendar year talking about it, it just didn't feel like the right time to plant. And we were focused on growing and serving our existing AOs. But I feel like the time has now come to plant. And we have, in fact, planted 2 new AOs in the last 6 months. That's Quack and PM and Daybreak, Silent Daybreak. And there are more coming. In fact, one is just on the brink of any day or within a couple of weeks now. You guys will hear me talk about, or you will hear it announced, a new AO that's coming out. And when you're listening, if you're listening, you're thinking about an AO, you know, Knoxville has had a very specific AO in mind for most of our workouts. Nearly all of them, we do 35 workouts a week. 34 of them are boot camp workouts. Almost all of those are in the mornings. And so we have a very narrow focus on what we call an F3 workout, when an F3 workout is much broader than. And so when you think about it, I want you guys to think about more than boot camps. And I want you to think about more than mornings. Of course, Steve would tell you, we can, I hear a lot of people saying, I wish there were more PM workouts. I'm glad Quackin the new one that started up at Quackin in Fountain City is a PM workout. I would love to see more PM workouts in our communities, and I think we would reach a lot more men. I've talked to men who go to Silent PM, who have told me I would not be in F3 if there were early morning workouts. It just doesn't work with my schedule or whatever. Only do the PM workouts. And I know there's a tremendous number of men in the community who are that way, right? And so I'd love to see more PM workouts. Now, that's still boot camp. Now, the one that you'll hear about in a couple of days or weeks is not a boot camp workout. It's a different style of workout. And what I want you guys to do is open your minds up to the people who are listening. There are other ways we can get together and get fitness done with a couple of other men, and then have a circle of trust at the end. Like that, it can be a running. I said there's 34 boot camps and one that's not. There is one running workout every week, and that's at JUCO. It's called JUCO Rush on Wednesdays. They just run. So there's a running group, and there could be more running groups, right? There could be more groups that do nothing but run, or trail run, or road bike, or swim, or yoga, or whatever. There are men in Knoxville who are interested in all these things who would not be interested in boot camps. So we could grow our AOs by growing just the style of fitness that we really cater to. So that's something I'd love to see, is that the styles of AOs can change. Now we're also talking about planting new shovel flag. Oh, let me go back to say one thing there's a very low cost of entry, and it's very, very easy to do, is the JUCO Rush model is so simple. Because these guys aren't interested in boot camp, they just want to run. So what they do is they meet at the same time as the JUCO boot camp, and they go off and run. And they come back and land back at the shovel flag at 6:15. And they gather for one big circle of trust with the other boot camp guys. And so really, if you're the AOQ, if you're the guys doing it, I mean, the cost of entry is next to nothing. It's just come at the same time, do your own thing, get together with the boot camp guys at the end, and they're going to cover the circle of trust, and they got the shovel flag, and they got all this stuff. So it's super easy to do if you do it at the same time as a boot camp. It can be done with rucking, biking, running, whatever. The other thing we've gotten a lot of interest in is men who are saying, I wish F3 were closer to me, right? And we've mapped out now the locations of proposed new AOs in the Knoxville area, and there's 11. There's 11 locations that we don't plant the flag, that at least one person has said, I wish there was a group there, because then I would go. There's 11. One of those, you guys are starting to see, we're actually moving a shovel flag to McPhee Park, from Bob Leonard Park off of Watt Road. We're going to just move it, and so we're going to stick it at McPhee just to see if we're going to get, or attraction of the men in the Farragut area, West Farragut area. So that's one of those 11, but there's 10 other locations that have been proposed by at least one man who's not in F3. I wish F3 were at X park or school or church or whatever. And those are kind of all over. We've got kind of a dense core Knoxville group, West Knoxville group, but there's some that are more up north Knoxville, Clinton, Lenore City, even I don't know what you would call it, but like Victor Ash Park has been one of the proposed locations. There's really like not a group within a pretty good radius of Victor Ash Park. So anyway, all of that are these. What I would love to see is additional AOs, because additional AOs means we're serving more men.
Yeah.
We're serving more men in what we call SAG clients. Men who need to be invigorated exist all over Knoxville. Tens of thousands of them. Tens of thousands. And the more we spread out and the more that we try new ways of reaching those men, the more opportunity we have. So what do you all think about that? AOs, planting AOs.
I think if nobody else does it, I'm going to plant the AO on Victor Ash because I'm 5 minutes away from it.
Come on.
What you said. Around here, there's a lot of AOs that are close to here, like about 15 minutes, but no AO that's right next to Victor Ash. Plus, Victor Ash is a beautiful park.
Yes, it is.
I've been rocking there 2-3 times a week, so it's an amazing location for an AO. Plus, it has 2 volleyball courts. It has a soccer field. It has the potential for, hey, if the AO wants to go a little beyond and play some sports, that's a good opportunity there too.
That's cool.
I think it's awesome. I mean, I remember when I started F3, there was probably only a handful. And now, I mean, it's a massive community around Knoxville. But one thing I think about too is, you, myself, you, everyone on this call, everyone that is heavily involved in F3, we were once someone that didn't know F3 existed, but probably really needed something like F3. And now we're in F3 and are just, thank the Lord that I have F3. There are thousands of men out there just like us that need something like F3. They just don't know it yet. And as we grow, I mean, it's exciting to see our region expand and grow. And just like you said, serve more men, guys that desperately need something like F3, rooted in fellowship. Just come out to a 45-minute workout and let's see how your life can change in 6 months. So to me, it's really exciting.
That's awesome. All right. I think that's a great place to end. Again, over an hour we've been talking, but about a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Yes.
I'm really excited about the second half of 23 and the beginning of 24 and everything that Knoxville has going on.
We're turning 8 this year.
That's right.
It's our 8th birthday. So
in November, right?
November. That's right.
Yeah.
Can't believe it's already been almost a decade. 8 years of F3 in Knoxville. You see how many lives have been changed. It's awesome.
Cool. That's cool. All right. Well, I'll say I'm excited to see where we go and excited to continue to grow in my fitness and fellowship and faith along with you men and the others. Any closing thoughts from you guys?
Just excited for the future.
Yeah. Press in. Keep moving forward.
Me too.
It's gonna be a great rest of the year.
All right, well, we'll sign off there, and I'll hit stop recording, and I'll send this to you guys to stick on the podcast, and we'll do it again sometime. All right?
Sounds good.